Social media is at it again. Instagrammers and TikTokers are swarming the residential neighborhood of Notting Hill, all competing for the most aesthetic and like-worthy photo or video, leaving residents to beg these influencers to influence somewhere else. Hi, welcome back to Ari Wanders. My name is Ari, and this is a channel where we are wandering through the world one idea at a time. Today we're going to be looking at over-tourism and the Instagram effect and how it's affecting the residents of Notting Hill. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on an adventure. Notting Hill is an affluent neighborhood in West London. It's a well-known neighborhood, but definitely shot to a different level of fame after this rom-com starring Julia Roberts and Hugh Grant was shot there and then named after it. I'm going to be honest here, I've never seen this movie. Between having a well-known rom-com named after it and its cute, colorful aesthetic houses, kind of like the Painted Ladies in San Francisco, if you know of those, it is perfect social media bait. And the aesthetics being on other people's doorsteps does not seem to be a problem for the influencers. The residents, on the other hand, do have a problem with it, mostly because it's on their doorstep. Here are some of the amusing daily happenings that have been captured by the residents of Notting Hill. Now, I find TikTok dances to be kind of cringe any day, but can you imagine this happening right outside your window, every day, all day, on repeat? I could not. And then I'm kind of wondering, how many takes do some of these people have to do? It's gotta be like you're watching a movie, but it functions like one of those old vinyl records, and when it gets caught on a scratch, it just goes over and over and over the same part again. Ooh, balloons. Dang, this is kind of high effort. I respect the effort. Okay, see, so this isn't so bad. She's not trespassing. They are in a street, but it's not a busy street, so they don't seem to be disturbing traffic. And they seem to be taking a photo in a rather out-of-the-way kind of place. She's got her coat motion down. And notices someone's watching her. That's about the reaction that I would have, except later I would keel over and die of embarrassment. What is she doing? So pausing and taking a photo in a pretty or aesthetic place is not the problem. But when it involves laying across someone's front stairs, you realize that that's private property, right? This is not a photo shoot set, it's a neighborhood. Also, do you think she considered the angle the residents would get if they ever opened their front door? Instagrammers are constantly forgetting that the world is not a photo shoot or a movie set. In the case of Notting Hill, this is a residential neighborhood where people are living their daily lives, which have now been rudely and unapologetically interrupted. As this article in The Standard puts it, this neighborhood has been long known as one of London's most picturesque and affluent neighborhoods. It's famed for quaint pastel-colored crescents and grand stucco-fronted Victorian houses. They complain the streets are being turned into the personal photo studios of Insta-tourists, 2 decades after Hugh Grant and Julia Roberts put that area on the map with their hit film. So what I'm guessing is happening now is a lot of millennials who grew up enjoying this film now actually have enough money to go visit the set of this film and want to take photos and videos of the experience. That makes sense, but you still have to be respectful. Daphne Lomerrill, 21, said the Instagram shoots had increased in the past 6 months. She says, at first it was sweet, but it's just getting crazier. The walls are quite thin and you can hear them laughing and directing photo shoots from our living room. On weekends, there will be at least 4 groups taking pictures at the same time. It's weird. It didn't used to happen. Olivia Lamb, who lives near Notting Hill Station, said they'll just set themselves up for hours on your doorstep with a range of outfits. They make no effort to move when people come in or out of their houses. I've come across our doorstep on Instagram many times. Oh wow, so in this photo, they actually have people who set up a pop-up tent so they can do outfit changes. This is a lot of effort. Maybe I'm a bit basic, but do you need more than one outfit? I guess the bright side would be she's not changing in the middle of the street. Notting Hill makes up half the entries on any best Instagram spots in London lists. More cafes here are making themselves Instagram-worthy. Residents say Instagrammers, some of whom can rake in tens of thousands of pounds per post, even queue up to take these pictures. But the social media influencers are unapologetic. And then we have some influencers commenting on why the area is so attractive for them. One girl here mentions that everywhere would make a perfect backdrop, and another mentions that the house colors highlight whatever you wear. I think it's pretty clear to see why so many content makers, photographers, and movie fans would love to visit this area and take a photo. And it doesn't seem that residents are 100% opposed to that idea. They're simply asking these individuals to have a little bit more courtesy and understand how it might be affecting their daily lives. I'm sitting here trying to think of all the potential problems that over-tourism in a residential neighborhood could cause. The first one that comes to mind is a bunch of strangers coming in and out of your neighborhood all the time. Now, for some people, this might not affect them at all. Their street might just be busier than usual. But now think of it if you were a parent with young children. I would be very hesitant to let my child walk anywhere in their own neighborhood by themselves without me being very aware of what was going on if there were so many strangers on my street all the time. Next, we have the cringe. I think this has to be one of two things. Either you take it as a free comedy show on your doorstep and you pull out the popcorn, or you die of secondhand embarrassment. The next thing I'm thinking about is litter. Anytime you have a bunch of people going through a place, they're going to leave garbage behind. But the problem is this is not an amusement park, this is not Disney World. They do not have bins that are spaced 7 feet apart to make sure that all of the trash gets collected. This is just a residential neighborhood. And I'm sure with this large group of people passing through every day, there are coffee cups and tissues and gum and all kinds of disgusting things being left all over these lovely sidewalks, which is going to make the neighborhood less pleasant to look at in general, but also much less pleasant for the residents. We can also see with some of these videos that props and special effects are used, things like smoke bombs being lit in front of houses, or even the balloons the girl was carrying. I'm sure it was a lovely video, but did you see how close those balloons got to some of the antennas on the top of people's houses? That could have been quite a situation. The next thing that I'm noticing is blatant disrespect for private property and lots of trespassing. Not only that, but very well documented trespassing. Here's the thing, if you're going to break the law, which please don't take a photo or a video of you doing it. These people are trespassing onto private property and taking photo and video of it. This makes no logical sense to me at all. I do see this as a possible end to this tourism craze. All that needs to happen is someone needs to show a photo of someone trespassing, and that would probably get the whole thing to calm down for at least a little while. Just saying. Not only are people trespassing onto private property, but now there are reports of it being damaged. One man has claimed thousands of dollars of damage has happened to his house due to people taking photos there. The main damage has been to his antique tile stairs, which would cost about $2,000 to have repaired. Old stuff ain't cheap. The resident is Peter Lee, and he is the owner of the very famous Pink House in Notting Hill. The Guardian presents a very charming article about how Peter fell in love with this neighborhood. It's a 19th century, 3-story property on the corner of a quiet residential street in Notting Hill, West London. Its brick walls were painted baby pink, and I knew I had to have it. It was an exciting time to be in West London. Notting Hill has always been very colorful. One day I spoke to the gentleman I saw coming out of the house. "I'd love to buy your house," I told him, but he said it wasn't for sale. Months later, I saw him again, and he said he put the house on the market. He goes on here with the details of how he painstakingly sought out this house and made sure it became his. Before addressing recent events, it's only in recent years with the rise of social media and everyone having cameras on their phone that I've noticed lots of people taking photographs outside the house. On a sunny weekend, there can be crowds on the street. I don't get why they're doing it really, but I suppose it is a beautiful house. Back in 2019, accidentally Wes Anderson posted a picture of my house and it got about 46,000 likes. After that, I really did feel like my home was famous. I do find it really charming how enthusiastic Peter is about other people's enjoyment of his home. And here's the famous photo that seems to have started all the ruckus over Peter's pink house. It is a really beautiful photo. Every day, people photograph my house and photograph themselves in all kinds of poses outside. I have CCTV cameras set up for security reasons, which are clearly visible, and they've picked up all sorts of funny images of people posing on my steps. Last year, after a few girls had photos taken while dancing on my doorstep, I found that the tiles of the steps had been damaged. I want to replace them with the original looking tiles, but that might cost up to £2,000. That obviously was frustrating, but I really find it all quite amusing. He has a really good attitude about all of this. I would not be so gracious. Usually the visitors are very polite, and if I bump into anyone photographing outside, they say, "Sorry, we just like the look of your house." But there have been some instances where people have been rude, not even apologizing when they were blocking my front door. Another time I noticed a camera crew outside filming someone. I assumed she must have been famous. They hadn't asked my permission to be there, so I thought I'd go up and take a photo. One of the crew came over and said, "Excuse me, do you mind?" And I said, "Do you mind? This is my house." They were filming Binky from Made in Chelsea. I didn't know her name at the time. My granddaughter recognized her after I posted the photo on Facebook. There are some photographers who come quite regularly. We're on friendly terms. I'll often say hi and have a chat with them. One professional always brings his clients to pose on my doorstep. There's also a teacher at a ballet school nearby who brings students to have their end-of-year photographs taken with my house in the background. I feel a sense of pride that it's my home. The whole street has become a popular spot for photo shoots as there are lots of colored houses and it's very picturesque. Some neighbors get annoyed, but it doesn't bother me. My favorite part of the house is inside anyway. Alright, I know that was a lot of reading, but I really wanted you to hear Peter's account of this whole experience because I find he has such an amiable disposition towards this whole situation, and so lovely the pride that he has in his home and sharing it with others. So now that we've had this whole discussion about the situation in Notting Hill, what can we learn from it and how can we be better tourists in the future? I think the main thing to consider when going anywhere is that you are a guest. Try to treat places in a way that you might be invited back. So in the case of Notting Hill, this is a residential neighborhood. Most of us have been to them before and quite a few of us have lived in them. So it's not that difficult to understand how to act. Respect private property, don't trespass, and be respectful of the fact that this is a place where people are living their daily lives. It's not just a photo set for you. Grabbing a quick photo in an aesthetic location is totally okay, and I think most of the residents of Notting Hill would agree. Another thing that I want to bring up with photo tourism is a lot of times there's that one photo that kind of defines a place, and many people will travel even just to recreate that photo. In a way, I think that this has an artistic and creative flair to it, and I don't think it's necessarily wrong. Expressing yourself through taking photos or even recreating other people's images can be really fun. It's kind of like the tourism version of hidden pictures. And I don't want to deny you that photo, but let me also recommend that if you're going to take that iconic photo, also try to take something that's your own as well. By taking these photos, we're creating little art pieces of our lives. So sure, it's fun to recreate some of the iconic images that we've envied, and part of the reason we might even be at the place. But I would also recommend trying to take some unique images that are special to you. Who knows, you might even end up preferring your own unique photos to that iconic photo that you always wanted to take. This can also help cure or repair the Instagram effect. If a lot of people are going to one place to take that one photo, it's naturally going to overcrowd that zone. When people try to get a little bit more creative for their photos, it can also help spread out that tourist zone and not have it highly concentrated in one place. Now, it seems like some of that is already going on in Notting Hill as people are not just taking pictures at the Pink House, but are also taking them at other houses. But a lot of it is still happening, mostly on just a couple streets. The eventual effect is that this ends up ruining the tourist experience for a lot of people, or something happens and it ends up getting shut down. Now with Notting Hill, that hasn't happened yet, but we can all make sure that doesn't happen by not pushing it that far. I would love to hear your thoughts about what's going on in Notting Hill right now. What do you think about the Instagram effect or over-tourism due to famous Instagram photos? Do you have any suggestions for Notting Hill residents? What would you do if you lived on this street? And do you have any suggestions for how to declutter Instagram effect zones? Leave all of this in the comments below. And I will see all of you here next time. Until then, keep wandering.